Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Just My Thoughts. Um, so, what sparked this video was I made an interesting revelation. I, I think I kind of actually stumbled upon this like 2 days ago, but I didn't really get a chance to fully think about it. And then I was at work today and it kind of came back to me. Um, I was thinking about how, excuse me, how one of my goals of late, pretty much since the whole personality typing thing, has been to become the Super Saiyan version of me, and I've been trying to figure out what that looks like, right? And upon going over this in my head, trying to figure this out, I came to the realization that I can't really quantify that. Like it's not solid. I mean, for one, it's applying one concept to another, like mainly saying, "Hey, Super Saiyan," as far as like Dragon Ball Z, and which is of course fictional, and then me, who is not fictional, and trying to combine those things. Um, this is sort of a side effect of how I think. Well, I know it comes from the masculine intuition. Um, so, yeah, I tend to juxtapose a lot of things. It's just something I naturally do. Um, so, as I was trying to figure this out, and I'm like, all right, what does that look like? Like, how do I know if I'm making any kind of leeway on that front? And I mean, you could argue. Well, I could argue that my use of my extroverted thinking, which is like pretty awesome. Well, I shouldn't say my use of it as much as just like it's like a new toy. It's something I've really been enjoying playing with and exploring. Um, so you can argue that that is an improvement, which is definitely a step towards Super Saiyan version of me. But ultimately, I came to this understanding that there's no way to really like break that down. Like I can't even picture what it looks like, but then I realized like you can't finalize that. There's no step 1 and say step 100. You know what I mean? Like there's no beginning, middle, and end. Um, and this got me thinking about other goals that I have, and I realized that a lot of my goals are on the NF side of things, which is like intuitive feeling. Um, my masculine, my demons are masculine, and they're uh, introverted intuition and introverted feeling, and that's how you get the NF. And I have double masculine NF sleep, and basically, I'm just sort of realizing like how much I'm doing this, and just wasn't really realizing it. And the issue with this, because I want like some of my goals have been like, okay, be a great father, be a great husband, um trying to think of what else. Those really do with other people. Led by certain principles, become this person possessing sage-like knowledge. Becoming this hyper intellectual. And I realized like these things, you can't quantify any of these things. Like, there's nothing in objective reality that you can say this task is accomplished. Like, there's nothing. And when I realized this today, this pretty much, it's kind of shook my world. Like imagine that the goals that you want to do to better yourself, you can't really ever know 100% if you have achieved those things. Like I could say I'm in the progress of doing it, and that would be accurate. But that's pretty much it. Like there's no way for me to say, look at this thing. I did this thing. I built this thing. Like, there's nothing I can show in reality, in objective reality, that would, basically say this was true. So I realized this, and just really kind of shocked me, honestly. Yeah, so that kind of blew me away. Like, and then I realized, what does it truly mean to have double masculine sleep? Like, there are other members of my type I've seen on Benjamin's channel, and it's really only me and another guy that have the double masculine sleep, and we're not sleep last. Like, when you sleep last, you're not accessing it as much. It's my hobby function, so I'm basically trying to access it as much as I can. Like, I love it. But for other members of my type, they are not really dealing with this problem, or at least not on the same scale. And I just realized, like, holy shit, this is a huge problem. And it's interesting though. Like, my TE still is trying to figure out a way to make it work, to figure out a way around it. But really, to be honest, the only conclusion I come to was a stoic saying. It's, I don't know the exact wording, and you would probably know this because it's been used in other things. I think and like the Addiction Anonymous type like thing. I don't know, meetings or whatnot. They use the prayer. I believe it's in church as well for, like, But basically, the Stoic saying goes, accept what you cannot change and control what you can. So that's what came to me when I was thinking about this problem, and basically saying, like, okay, essentially this is a part of me. Like, that's without a doubt. Sorry. That's without a doubt. My enough sleep is most definitely a huge part of me. And I love it. Like, but realizing this really kind of made me look at myself a little differently. And I think I was going on another point and I kind of got sidetracked for a second. And I don't remember the original point, so I'm going to go with this one. Um, so, yes, the NF sleep is a big part of me. I love it. Like, I have to accept that this is part of who I am. And then also, when I first discovered this, when I came to this conclusion the first time a couple of days ago, I asked my wife about it because probably about 3 or 4 years ago, there's a documentary I really like. It's called Some. It's like SOMM. That's what I believe is how it's spelled. Som was it short for sommelier, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. But they're like wine experts, and I really like it. They have like 3 parts of it. I believe I've seen all 3, but the first one is still my favorite. And basically, these guys are almost trying to become like masters of like all categories of wine. To be considered a master sommelier, and I really, it's something I really like. I gravitated towards because I relate so much to it. Um, I am a painter, like I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. I'm an oil painter, and I wish to become a master of it. Mastery is something that's important to me. Again, one of those things I can't quantify. Those goals that I can't quantify, but I myself I keep trying to achieve. But yeah, so I really gravitated towards that, and I remember as I was watching it, and she had noticed I watched it like several times, so she sat down and watched it with me one time, and she was like, "I don't understand, like, what's the point of this?" And I was, she was like, "What do you get out of this?" And I was like, "Oh, well, these guys are searching for mastery. I really relate to it." And her her thoughts were that was stupid. Basically, you can never achieve mastery, so it's stupid to, I guess, pour all this time in trying to achieve something that you can't actually achieve. Uh, that's an opinion. Um, I disagree. I don't disagree that you can't achieve mastery. I don't think you can achieve mastery in a certain sense. Like, there's no way that you 100% can master something, but you can, I think, in a certain way, get to a certain level that you would be considered a master, and perhaps that a master might not be considered that perfection. But at that point, I guess you're wrestling with definitions of what a master is. So I mean, perhaps there's some valid points there, but either way, to say it's a waste of time and it was stupid, I highly disagree with that. To pursue something, a passion of that, and try to build an expertise, I don't think there's anything stupid about that. I mean, it's just personal points of view. We all have our own point of view, but yeah, I highly disagree with that. But anyway, yeah, I'm just realizing that so many of my goals cannot be achievable. I can pursue these things. I can walk that path in life, and I, in a sense, am pursuing all these things. I do become all these things in a certain way. Perhaps not masters, but those things become a part of my personality, I guess, or my persona, my base of knowledge. I don't know how you want to put it, but those things become a part of me. Because those are all internal things that you can't really get an outside measurement of them, but internally those things build over time, and definitely I would think would have an effect on the kind of person I am. So there is that, and that's definitely a plus. But even though that's a plus, I still struggling with the fact that I can't quantify it. I can't have anything solid. I don't know. Maybe that's something I'll come to understand at some point. Like I'll make my peace with it, I guess. I'm not sure. But as of now, it's definitely a struggle. Um, yeah. I'm trying to think. I think I put some notes on my phone earlier when I was thinking about this. I said that. And I said, all right, there's a little part I didn't say. Basically, I feel like this is me seeing a big part of myself that I couldn't see before. Um, like this is really showing me like what does it mean to be double introverted, like to have two masculine introverted functions. Like what does that look like, especially if those functions are not last, in the sense of like animal wise, if your animals aren't last, and the effect that really has on your personality. And it makes me wonder, like it makes me wonder what the differences between personalities and just how big they are. Let me see. Can you guys see this? All right. It's showing up backwards, of course, but this is a screenshot I got. This is a type sort of spectrum for uh, um, a INF. What is it? INFJ. INFJ. All right. And you got on the side, they will either be NIFE, which is a regular INFJ, standard saviors are NI and FE, or you have a jumper, which is on this side, and that's a NITI. That's a double introverted type. But anyway, so those are this is like basically this spectrum of the look at how this particular type breaks down. It can only go one of those two ways. You can either be a standard version or a jumper version, and then you can see the different animal orders going up here, playing out all the way across, and then you have the modalities down here, the sexual modalities, all the way across. And thinking about this today really makes me realize like how big these differences might be. And I don't know, like I don't have the data to really say, but looking at my own type, I've watched many of the interviews of people of my type on Benjamin's channel, and I can see we're all somewhat similar, but at the same time we're all very different. So that's very fascinating to me. But this revelation today is really making me understand like what my type looks like. I think when Benjamin interviewed me, he did say that like my type is kind of rare, like my particular, I guess, version of my type, which I will agree. I haven't seen. There's one guy. He wasn't on Benjamin's channel. He was on Kendrick's channel. But he was so young, I couldn't really relate to him. He was like just out of high school. But other than that, me and him were the only two of our types. Exactly. Although I have seen the double masculine version of me. His name's something Khan. He was pretty cool. I watched this interview many times. He's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, I'm really makes me notice like the differences. I think those differences, they don't look like a lot, but they might be a lot bigger than we really realize. Because like so much stuff, yeah, you can see on the outside, but nobody can really see on the inside. Like you gotta kind of go off self-report in a way, and how much of you are you not seeing? Like I've been doing this. I've been doing all these things, making all these goals, but I didn't realize that was what I was doing. But it's always there. So it's like, how much is unknown because we aren't seeing it within ourselves. So yeah, that's fascinating. But anyway, it's shocking to me that so many of my goals are internal, and I can't really fulfill them. And I remember Dave mentioned that he was like, "You're going to have a hard time getting things accomplished in the outside world," and I didn't really fully understand what he meant when he said that. But I think this might be somewhat related to that because there's not many goals that I want to achieve in the outside world. Like most of my goals are internal, introverted goals. The kind of person I want to be. A lot of it relates to that. It's not really like there are some external goals. Like I still want to be a professional artist. I really want to do that. That's like the one thing in life that I want to do professionally. But everything else is kind of related to that. Like, yeah, it's interesting, and I'm also realizing like when they say you push with your masculine functions, I think I didn't have the best understanding of what they meant. Like I did have an understanding. Like if you have an extroverted function, you're pushing outwardly. Like I got that. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, since I have masculine NI, that means I'm going to push when it comes to concepts. Like, oh, okay. Or like if I think something's going to happen, something like that. And I was like, all right, that's what the math says. But I wasn't seeing that really. To be honest, I wasn't seeing me really push for the concept or anything like that. And now, today, I realized that that's not what that means. Like internally, it means I am pushing on myself for those abstract those abstract things. So like basically how I see things juxtaposed. I keep juxtaposing things. That's because of the NI. That's me pushing with the NI. Just like my introverted feeling, I keep pushing for values, and because it's NF, it's abstract values. So like I keep pushing for my love of like say stoicism, or like why is my brain going blank? Like these things that they only exist in the abstract, right? And I'm doing that all the time inside of me, but I wasn't realizing I was doing it because it's so natural. It's something. It's like breathing. Like you're not realizing how often you're doing it. Hello. So I think where was I? Shit. It's gone. But I'm just realizing like, oh yeah. All right. So it's shocking to me. Like the NF is a little shocking to me because I'm staring at it all day. Like I can see me like thinking about it, but I didn't realize that I was actually pushing outwardly with it. But other people would kind of report back that that's what I was doing, or at least that's what I realized. That's what they were saying. Because like my wife has remarked about many times about how my values are really important to me, and I didn't really realize what she was saying. Like I mentioned it now and then or whatever, but I didn't really realize I was doing it all that often. And then like even a close coworker today, he was saying that to me. He was like, I don't know, man. Some of your values you push is just not really important. I don't remember the exact wording, but he started naming off some of the values, and I was like, I didn't realize that that's really what I was doing. But in conversation, I thought it was just coming up in conversation, but looking back on it, I don't think that's what's happening. I think I am pushing outwardly with those values and not realizing it. So yeah, because me and him actually, we got into it yesterday kind of about that. He was okay. So I tend to kind of clash with FE, Savior FEs, and he's Savior FE. So like we were bumping heads, and he was talking about slavery and stuff like that, and I was thinking after that conversation about how FE is kind of ironic. Like he was complaining about it, but I was like, in my head I was thinking like, you know what, FE, and this is no offense to anyone who uses FE, who has FE. I was like, they are probably very, very responsible for like groupthink type things, like mob mentality, kind of going with the flow of things at times, and that's not all FE, because I'm sure there are FE that will take a stand against things too, but a lot of times FE will flow together. They will band together on whatever the value is, right? So I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? Yeah, FE, let's, oh, we got to right these wrongs, this, that, whatever. But I was like, there are other parts of FE where it's like, we need justice and we need to take this in our own hands. And I was like, where does that mob mentality come from? We need to take, we need to do something about this. And like, let's say like back in the old West where like you've seen in the movies where a guy commits a crime and then they demand the sheriff give him up so they can like take him out and do justice, this, that kind of thing. Or even like, and that's, we were talking about slavery and I was like, well, even with slavery, I'm sure that some of that had to come from like FE. Like at some point, I'm not saying the beginning of it or the whole thing or anything, but at some point, FE had to kind of go with it to kind of be like, hey, this is justifiable for whatever value reason, and I'm talking slightly on my ass. I don't have FE, but I'm just, that's how I think it might have played out. So I was thinking about that irony of FE. Like, yeah, you can do a lot of good, but you can do a lot of bad with it too. And as I was thinking about this, and I came back after I was thinking about this, and we got into the conversation again. He was talking about, basically it was a conversation about values, and I was explaining how I thought that money, like family and loyalty, should take priority over money when it comes to business. And he was saying like, no, he was basically dismissed all that. He thought that was stupid. He was basically like, no, people are out to get money, people are out to make money, that's just how business goes. Which I agree in some sense. But if you're doing a business with your family or with friends or whatever, I would think some of that should come into play. And he was basically like, he was using Wendy's. I guess he was talking about how Wendy's, some connection between Wendy's and like KFC or something. But he was basically like, yeah, this person screwed over this person, and they went behind their back and screwed them over and did this horrible thing in order for the money and the profits or whatever. And he was like, that's just how it goes. And he didn't realize it, but he was basically talking about values. And I was telling him, I said, hey, so you're talking about selling drugs, and you're talking about Wendy's and how this is all business and stuff like that. And then I was like, but earlier you were complaining about slavery. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, in the front, you have Wendy's, and then you have selling drugs, and then you have slavery. And I said, okay, in the front end, those look like three separate things. But I was like, if you look at the mechanics behind all those things, the values that were pushing in all three of those ventures, those were all the same type of values. He did not take this very well. Yeah, he got really triggered. He said I was making a mockery of slavery, which was not my intent, but unfortunately, at times when talking to feelers, they go for the emotional response, even though I'm just trying to logically point out something. But that's neither here nor there. So I was telling him, like, I was translating in language that he can understand, because he doesn't really know anything about cognitive functions and whatnot. But I was basically trying to tell him that behind all these things are the same mechanics, the same value structure. And he didn't take it well. He really didn't take it well. He was very upset at me, and he told me that my values were stupid and those things were unimportant. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, okay, so for him to see this, I must be speaking about values a lot. And his TI is very impressive to me. He's tracking all that. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. But yeah, I just find it humorous that FE could, in the name of trying to do something good, it can also do so much damage. And it scares me because when I look at everything that's going on with the woke movement and all that, I see that potential. And it's scary. I mean, I see it like when I look back at like the Nazi Party. I think all these things kind of came around that same thing, that same type of value structure. Because nobody thinks they're a bad guy. Who thinks they're a bad guy? I'm trying to do this thing for the greater good or whatever. But what is the old saying? Like, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Anyway, I'm getting beside myself. But shit, I've got so far off track I forget where I was going with this. But I think basically just the difference in values, and that's something I do see with FE and FI a lot. Just those clash of values. Even my best friend, I think that's the only thing we really kind of clash on is those values. You know, FI seems like it really makes you look at things from a more individual perspective, where FE seems like it really makes you look at things from the group perspective. And in all honesty, even though I favor FI, I love FI, I am FI, I know that you need both. I mean, you just need both. You need that balance. I don't think either one really should go unchecked too far. But anyway, I worry about the damage that FE is doing. That's not to say that FI doesn't do damage. FI definitely does and have done damage. I'm sure if you look back through history, it shouldn't be very hard to spot. But anyway, shit, my play takes me all over the place. Where was I originally going with this? Anyway, I think that coming to this realization has made me, it scared me because it really shook my kind of view of myself. And I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do. Like, I haven't come to an internal understanding of this yet, as far as like how to resolve this issue. But also, it has truly made me understand that I am not seeing myself totally, which I don't know if anybody's capable of truly doing that, but it's really kind of making me understand the uniqueness of my type, and I'm looking forward to discovering what else I come across. So it's been a fascinating journey. Just personality typing overall. Shit, man, I really wish there was somebody else I could like talk to about this and bounce ideas off of and get their thoughts. Benjamin is pretty much like the most. I think that guy has the most knowledge within the community, as far as like concrete what's going on with the functions and how they're doing what they're doing. But he's a pretty, I don't know him personally, but I like him. He seems like a nice guy. And I wrote him an email, but I think he's pretty busy. Because I think I've heard him mention that before. Like, he's a pretty busy guy, and I know he's got kids and stuff too. And yeah, I mean, I know what that's like. I'm married with a kid, so anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of share this revelation, kind of give you some light on what it's like to be double introverted. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if this is like expressed clearly. I'm blast last, so me communicating stuff, I don't really do it well. And when I've looked back at some of my interviews, I can see like pieces of information missing. So, I feel like I'm communicating well, but when I look back on it, I'm not sure how much is really getting communicated well. But I don't know. I hope one day somebody will see this, or I don't know. I don't think anybody really watches these things, but I don't know. I hope it's of interest to someone. I don't know. I feel like that about me though. Like, I feel like I'm a person. I feel like I'm interesting to me, but I'm not interested to anyone else in the world. So yeah, I don't know. That's again an internal thing. Like, I feel like I'm this huge fog, and I can only give people so much of me, because I feel like I'm so vast that no one can really take all of me. Like, I think I don't know if I just too many interests, too much information. I don't know, but I feel like I overwhelm people, and I feel like maybe I wouldn't say I'm too complex, but maybe I'm just too vast. That a lot of people just, they're not interested in all that. So I feel like I have to kind of give myself a little bit to people. I feel like if I try to give all of myself, like if you are walking down the street and just this huge fog, or you're driving and this huge fog came over, you could crash into something you wouldn't really be able to see. I feel like I overwhelm people, and kind of like that. Like, I feel like people, I kind of throw them off a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm unknowingly applying some kind of pressure. It could be. I mean, I have all these the NF sleep. I have these like intuitive values. I could be pushing on them with my values and not realizing it. I don't know. But I do think that I tend to overwhelm people. And then also I have a habit of thought vomiting over people, because basically I got so much going on in my head and I don't really get a lot of time to talk to people. Or should I say, most of the time, there's not a lot of people interested in talking about a lot of things that I'm thinking about, that I will thought vomit over somebody if they take the time to talk to me. I often feel bad about that, unfortunately. It's not intentional, but it's just like somebody be like, hi, and then, and they're like, oh, okay, I just came to say hi, and you just gave me this like lecture about some shit or something. I don't know. But anyway, I just realized I'm such an introverted person, and I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, as far as OP spectrum, I think I rank as the most introverted of the extroverts. I have a hard time thinking that somebody is more introverted than me. Like, my best friend's pretty introverted. I think he's more introverted than me. But I think like that's the only person I think I've ever met that I would say is more introverted than me. Like I think I'm highly introverted. Um. So anyway, I'm just trying to if there are other really deep devil introverted people out there, maybe this is of some use to you, or maybe you just find it interesting. I don't know. But hopefully this is enjoyable for someone. All right, everyone. That was just another episode of Just My Thoughts. Thanks. Please come again.